usually put on your snare with a little bit of pre-delay, but this is something we add in later. So now it's all about mixing, like I said. And I use the same pattern when it comes to mixing compared to the volume adjustments. I like to mix my tones always on the buses here, because some people do like to introduce maybe a equalizer on the kick track right here on the input microphone. That's okay, but I got a kick right and a kick left, and usually I want the same equalizers on both of these kick drums, right? So why should I place two equalizers here, one on the left and one on the right kick drum with the same settings, when I can do this with one equalizer on the kick bus? So this is the question, right? And therefore, I'm going ahead and add those plugins on the kick bus. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna add in a low cut filter. This is just to get rid of the low frequency rumble in our sound. Usually, or the bad thing about the included Superior Drummer plugins here, or especially the included low cut and high cut filters in Superior Drummer, is that you cannot exactly see where your cutting starts. You got 20 hertz here and 20k on the right side. So if I put this filter like this, where am I? I don't know. So you kind of have to fiddle around with that and try to you just have to try where it sounds good, where the ultra low frequencies get cut off. And I did that, and I realized that on the third mark here, that this is usually the 50 hertz low rumble cutoff, and this is what I'm doing right here. But I'm really annoyed by this plugin that it doesn't show where you set your cutoff. Is it 45? Is it 50? Is it 60 hertz? I don't freaking know. And that's a really badly designed plugin. It sounds great, it does its job, but it's really badly designed because you can't see your cutoff frequency. And not seeing a cutoff frequency in a cutoff plugin, what the fuck? Toontrack, really? Come on. So this is a little bit funny that they did that. And then let's add in those fillers on every bus, because I want to get rid of the low end rumble on every bus before I start any equalization or any compression. Because I'm going to go ahead and compress the kick, the snare, and everything else, you know, and you don't want to compress this low frequency rumble. So you have to get rid of that before you start any kind of compression on your tones. So let's copy this filter here to the snare track. I'm gonna leave the same settings, the about 50 hertz. Annex says it will be patched one day. I'm unsure because Superior Drummer is out for so long. Holy crap. But maybe I write a support ticket, because that's just bullshit. That plugin sucks ass here. It sounds good, but it sucks ass. Okay, then we got the same thing on the toms. Like I said, this doesn't change the sound. It's just a 50 hertz low cut. And then it gets a little bit more extreme on the hi-hats and overheads and stuff, but let's do that in a second. Now, the kick drum sounds a little bit boxy, if I'm right. So let's get rid of that. And what I did on the kick drum here is to lower the boxy frequencies, and the main boxiness of a tone usually comes from a 450 hertz range right here, maybe. And I decreased that volume here for about 6 dB it was, at a Q value of the standard 2.8. And I grabbed the 130 hertz. Let's adjust that. And I decreased it for about 3.5 dBs at the standard Q value. So this is basically my kick EQ. So let's bypass this and see what it does. That's much better. So if you cut out this boxiness, the emphasis on the sound is in a much higher frequency. Okay, that sounds nice. Then what I do, and this is a huge plugin here. The Superior Drummer comes with or ships with a transient designer plugin, and this is gold. This is gold. You can adjust the attack and the sustain of a tone. I'm gonna demonstrate that for you so you get what this plugin does. So if I wanna grab the attack knob here and pull it up, see what changes. Basically, what this transient designer does is it adjusts the value of how much your kick drum will cut through the mix because of its attack. And if you have a recorded bass drum tone and you want to get rid of some attack because it's too much, maybe you can grab a VST plugin, a transient designer. There are some transient designers, freeware versions out there. For example, the Flux Bittersweet is a transient designer that is free, that you can use in every DAW. And you can just pull down the attack a little bit to get rid of this clickiness, I would call it. So let's reset the attack to 0 because I like the attack already of that kick drum. Lowering it makes the sound thin, and raising it is just too much attack. So I'm gonna leave that at the default setting. But what I don't like about this kick drum from Metal ! Is the sustain. It's a little bit short. It's just, and there's nothing to it. I want a little bit more sustain. I want this trail of the sound without. I'm not talking about reverb. This is a whole different thing. But I want to get the bass drum kick sound, the original sound, to lengthen itself a little bit more, and that is where the sustain knob comes in. So let's see what that does. Shorten it. Everything is gone. And there our trail hits in. And the cool thing about that is this trail of the sound does not mess with the attack. The attack stays the exact same. It got the punch even with a longer sustain, and that's what is great about this plugin. And Let's find an appropriate value. A little bit too much. I like this setting. Okay, Anik in the chat says cleaned up. That is right. If you have a too long reverb trail or room trail on your kick drum, you can get rid of that by lowering the sustain of the tone, like this. And that's it, you know? Okay? But I like this trail a lot. This is personal preference, but I like it when the kick drum has this trail to it. Okay, and by the way, this is everything that I did on my kick drum. Why? Usually you have to apply much more equalization and transient designers and everything and filters and notch filters even on your kick drum, but the reason why I don't have to adjust that much on the tone is because the metal exclamation mark sounds are already pre-mixed. So Toontrack already did a nice job on mixing that tone. And I only have to adjust this very well-designed tone to my liking. And this is what I did here. I got rid of the low-end rumble. I decreased the boxiness of the tone a little bit, not much, and I added in some sustain because I like it. But I don't have to do anything more on the kick drum tone. Sure, we talk about compression